Hey guys, welcome to DevOps School. In this video tutorial, we are going to learn about Python. Python is a general purpose, interpreted, interactive, object-oriented and high-level programming and scripting language. After going through this tutorial, I promise you that the concept and understanding of the Python will be absolutely clear to you. This series is divided into multiple parts. Therefore, subscribe to the channel and follow the playlist. But before that, let me ask you a few things. Are you dreaming of a career with higher pay and more responsibilities? Or are you ready to take your skills to the next level this year? Then start investing in DevOps School certification level courses which will help you to emerge skills for a wide range of entry-level roles and as well as higher potential future positions. But with thousands of courses online and in classroom worldwide, finding the right one for your career goals can be difficult. You can consider our courses like Agile Developer, Agile QA, DevOps Certified Professionals, Site Reliability Engineering, DevSecOps, and Masters in DevOps Engineering, where you will have access to well-structured, easy-to-follow course content that has been developed and will be delivered by industry professionals. You can join on our training programs globally through online platforms, and if you are looking for classroom workshops, then we have regular sessions available in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi NCR, Mumbai and in Pune. Simply compare our many courses, find the one that suits your style and schedule best and start today.
Because you cannot do addition of a text element and a numeric element, right? So what I am going to do is I will just write this code in a block called as try block. So whatever is my risky code or the code which may generate an error, I will enclose that code inside a try block. So try says that if there is an error, so error is always thrown like this as an except. So I'm saying except and I'll just write here exception. Okay. So the moment it encounters an exception or an error, it will jump to this except block. Now I can write here a print statement, enter a valid value, or I can simply write here invalid value. So first thing is we have to write some validation code if user or if any code which we are any data which we are going to take, if it contains any information which we are not sure about that the data is going to be correct or not, we can either enclose it in the form of such try catch, try except blocks, or we can write some validation code using if else statements. So that is the proactive programming. Another situation or another scenario is that let us say I'm trying to read data from a file. So the file was there till now and I was reading the data. But after 2 days, I just logged in and I tried to read the file, but the file is not there. So accidentally the file might be deleted, or if I'm trying to connect to a server, that server might be down. Some such kind of scenarios may come. So in such cases, we can put the code which may give us an error inside a try block and write some error handling. So except block always deals with error handling. Okay, and this try block contains the risky code. Risky code means the code which may generate any error or exception. So once the exception is identified, it just jumps into the error handling. So here I have just given a print example, but like if you are working with a database, so a transaction is failed. If you're trying to insert some value into the database and the transaction fails, so you have the option of rollback. So inserting the data into the database becomes my risky code, and if the transaction fails, I have the option of rollback. So rollback function I can call in the except block. Such kind of error handlings we can write in Python. But yeah, it's all proactive and proactive decisions taken by the developer. These things mainly come into picture when we are working on any application, maybe a GUI based application or a web application. So in such scenarios, this error handling comes more into picture. If we are just writing simple automation scripts, we know we are going to run it directly. So such error handlings don't come into picture in that case much. Now, let us move ahead a bit. Now we will see one example on object-oriented Python. So for that, let us take a scenario that we own a library, and in the library, obviously, the entity is going to be books. So we have books data, and we want to store the data on a database server or somewhere we want to save the data. So so let's identify our entity as book. So we'll first create a class books. Class books. And now what all attributes a book class will have? The attributes that a book class will have are like the ISBN number of the book, the title of the book, the author of the book, the genre to which it belongs. So these are going to be the attributes. So we are going to define these attributes now. So let's write here def, and this is going to be our function in which inside which we define all the attributes. So this is a part of syntax. We always have to define our attributes inside a function called as init. And another part of syntax is we have to write self keyword. So self keyword and the init are the syntax with respect to classes. So self keyword, and here we will define. We have.
Sorry, what did you say? Init. What do you say that means again?
So this is basically the function or the method which helps us to create the objects. So it is a part of your syntax, which is used to create the objects of this particular class. So all the attributes which are going to be there for our books are to be initialized or defined inside this init method. Okay.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
let
Vijay,
us.
could you please repeat again regarding the self init?
Okay. So okay, I'll start again. My goal is that we have an entity called as books. Okay, and what are the attribute of this entity? We are identifying it as ISBN number, title, author, and we have journal. And so these are some attributes we have identified. Now, somewhere we have to initialize them, somewhere we have to define them, right? So the class is created, but the structure of the class contains these attributes, and these attributes we are going to define inside a method called as init. So it has double underscore init double underscore. So this is a Python syntax to define a method which is nothing but the initialization method. So whenever we create the objects of our class, this init method is executed, or this init method is called. Okay, so the self and the init are part of the Python syntax for class, which helps us to initialize our object and assign values to these attributes. Yeah, was there a query?
What is the meaning of self? Do we need to write down here as a ISBN or title or author or gender?
Yes, we have to write it. We will have to initialize them inside the method now. That's what we are going to do. So self is again a part of syntax. It's not part of syntax, but I am not going in the technical details of self. Self is basically, it refers to the object instance. So there's a lot to explain what is an instance, and it's altogether a session of 2 hours about self. So I'm not going in details of self. As of now, just remember that this is the standard syntax to define your attributes and initialize the attributes when you're creating the objects. So I'll write here syntax to define and initialize class attributes. Okay. So let's define them now. So all these attributes are always defined by the self keyword. So self dot isbn. So I'm initializing it to empty. Then self dot title. Again, I'm initializing it to empty because every book object will have different values. So I'm initializing it to empty right now. Self dot author. Self dot journal. Okay. So in this way, we have defined the books class. So this definition is written only once. And now we are going to create multiple book objects with the help of this class. So first book object, so I'll name it as book 1, first object. How to define it? BOOK brackets. So the moment I write this syntax, what happens is this init will get executed. Whatever is in this method gets executed, and it will initialize all these variables for book 1. Now I have to assign the values to them. So let me assign it. Book 1 is equal to let us define it 078965, whatever, some value. This is my ISBN number. So I'll have to write like this dot ISBN. So book dot ISBN. So for book 1, this is the ISBN number. Then book 1 dot title. So I'll give the title as say Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets. This is the name of my book. Then I'll have to write the author. Okay. Then the last attribute. Okay. So in this way, we created the first object, and after that we assigned the values to all the attributes of this first object.
So here,
Okay.
yeah, book one is the object, which is the instance of the class books, right?
Correct. Exactly.
Then it should be books, right? When you're initializing book 1 is equal to books.
Yeah. Correct. Sorry, it would be books. So here we are calling the class name, putting the round brackets. So it means that we are calling this initialization method. It initializes all the attributes for this particular instance, and we are assigning the values to that instance. Clear? Same way, we can create one more object. Let's say book 2 is equal to books. Sorry. Now book 2 dot ISBN is equal to, in some values I will give you. Book 2 dot title. So now the variables are defined only once, but with the help of this instance creation, we are generating multiple copies of those 4 variables, and we are referring to them using this object. So the value which is defined for book 1.isbn will be only specific to book 1. The value of ISBN for book 2 will be specifically only to book 2. So in this way, we can create multiple instances of same book class and generate this 4 variables for each instance or each object. So this is basically the object of the book class. And we are creating multiple objects of the same class and assigning different values to those objects or those instances. So this is basically the object-oriented programming by Python. So this was a very basic example. Now, once you go in more details of that, we come across multiple concepts like inheritance and abstraction. So you define one class, you define one more class, then build a relationship between them. So a lot of concepts come into picture when we are talking about this classes and objects. And this is a very important, as well as this acts like a base for your web development. All the web frameworks are based on this object-oriented concepts of Python.
So will this class be used only for web development, or that it can be used anywhere else?
Yes, this can be used other places also, but mainly where your logic application is more of entity oriented, or if you have any application kind of programming, then this object oriented comes into picture. If you're reading data from Excel sheet and manipulating the data and building charts on the data, then there is no point of learning all these things, because for that we have inbuilt functions and data structures to handle that. So there is no application as such. That is more of data handling. So in these cases, these classes are not required. But if you are building any GUI based or web based application, this is very, very handy, because you are holding a lot of information in just one variable. You have just one variable, book one, that's it, and all the information is stored in just one variable.
You
You
want
can
to say
also
this
define
all the variables for the objects that are stored in the in memory of the Java, right? So not Java, Python, right? So in
yes,
the
yes,
web page, how that works means, do you want to call it a database somewhere, or we need to put it, or we call it
yes.
as a user interface, and then we dump all this information into some database, something like that?
Yes. So now, whatever information we have, let us try to connect to the database and try to save this books data in a database. Okay. So I have already created a class. I have MySQL installed on my system. So I will show you it with respect to MySQL. Yeah. So I have a table called as books here. So this is the structure of my table. Same way, I have the columns here: ISBN, title, author, genre, and date. So one more column is the date, which stands for the publish, when was the book published. So this column is also there. So let us now try to save this information in our database. I'll just remove this. Now, for that, we first need to connect to the database. Now, to connect, Python is a different application. MySQL is a different application. That is, rather, it's a server. So first we need to have a connector between the two. So let us import it. I have written a small stepwise syntax for that. Just copy it rather than typing the entire thing again. So here, the step number 1 is to import the module, which is going to be a helper between the connection of SQL and the Python environment. Okay, I'll rename it as SQL. That's the right way to define a module. And here, the first step is I'm going to connect to my SQL server. I'm going to connect my Python to my SQL server using the connect function inside the SQL module, that is PyMySQL module. So whatever server name it is, so for me it is localhost. So let's connect to that. Here comes the username. Sorry, here comes the database name. So database name is here comes the ID. This is the password, and here comes the name of the database to which I want to connect. This is the name of my database. Okay. Now, once the connection is established, next step is using that connection object. We need to connect or get a cursor. Cursor is nothing but a pointer using which we are going to execute the queries. Just like I executed the query over here, describe books, or maybe insert into the table or select from table, whatever query I'm writing, this cursor is going to help us to execute that query. So here, instead of writing select version, I'm going to write the SQL query here. So now my query is going to be insert. I want to insert the data. So insert into name of the table is books, values. And what are my values? My values are nothing but the book object, values of the book object. So I'll just copy paste them here. So I'm just going to use some Python manipulation stuff. Using this curly brackets, I'm going to write here one function called as format. The format is going to insert the values at the right position. So first value will go in the first curly bracket, second value will go in second curly bracket. So again, it's a Python trick which I'm using. Book 1 ISBN, book 1 title, then we have author, book 1 touch. Okay, now the next step is once the execution is done, we will just write a print statement. So if there is no error, the print statement will work. We can even put this statement inside try catch, try except block. That is also fine. Save this. Let us try to run our program. There seems to be an error. Let me check this. So what is it saying? Okay. The error is that here we have okay. Oh, yeah, I got the error. Error is that we need to enclose all our values inside quotes when we are writing the syntax. So we will have to put some quotes here manually. Yes, okay. There are 5 columns and I am inserting the values for only 4 columns, so it was giving us an error. Let us try to go to the database and try to run or try to check the values. Start from books. Oh, the value is not inserted. We need to check once again. So one more thing we have not done here is commit. So once we are inserting, we need to commit. So I just to write the commit.
why we
Hmm?
gave null in that
Yeah.
inserting books? There will be
Yeah.
variable.
The thing is,
No value.
there is one more column here, date, published date.
Okay.
So we didn't have a value for this in our application, right? So instead of because the date will be, so you can see the data type of date is date. So we will have to give it in a very specific format.
Oh,
So I was not going in syntax of that. So
Okay.
that's why,
Okay.
just to avoid it, it's a nullable value. So I just gave a null just to avoid that column.
Okay. Did we initialize the date variable during the
Here we haven't.
function?
Here we haven't. Here we haven't.
Here where we
Here we
haven't.
haven't
Okay.
considered the date field. So that's why I just skipped that part.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we will include, because we are going to create a web application for this same scenario. So we will include it that time.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Just let me try to execute this. Yeah, now it is inserted. So whenever we are inserting, we need to commit the transaction. So db.connect database.commit, and now the data is inserted. So in this way, we can insert the data. Same way, we can connect to it and fetch the data. So instead of inserting, I'll just.
And one more thing, like I think inserting the query before we have to create the table, right? Ideally.
Yes, of course. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So when we are working on basic Python programming directly using Python, that time we have to create it manually. But once we switch to a framework like Django, it will automatically take care of creating tables.
Okay. Django and Flask also.
Flask, I'm not so sure how it works, but we
Okay.
are going to talk about Django in this session. So using Django, the table is automatically created. So we'll see those
Okay.
examples. So this was our SQL for inserting. Now I'll just write one SQL statement for fetching the data. Select star from books, and just try to execute this SQL here. I'll comment it. Okay, and now when we are executing it, we need to print or something we need to do with that data on our Python environment. So we need to store it in some variable. So we will write like this: result is equal to cursor dot fetch all. So this function will fetch all the data which has been fetched using the execute or the select command, and we can iterate over our data. So for data in our result, let's try to print it and see in what format it is giving us. Cursor. Yes. So the query has been executed and the data is being fetched in the form of tuples. So the data is enclosed in round brackets. So just like list, we have one more data type called as tuples. So the data is fetched in the form of tuples. This is the first row and this is the second row which has been fetched. Okay. So in this way, we can interact with our database using the Python environment. I hope
Whether
it's
in
clear.
general, like you have provided the username and password, so
Mhm.
it is a critical thing, like in a production environment or web So how does that, if you don't want to give that password, what is the alternative way? How in real life that work? Because we don't want to get this password into some file, right? So in general, how does that work?
See, you can write it in some file or somewhere. See, this is what we are seeing is the basic programming. Okay, so in your project level, you can do some settings in your environment, which will be reading the password, user ID password from some file or from some server. It will be taking the value. Once you switch on to the Django framework, there is something called as authentication and authorization. So all these things are already installed in that framework. So you can
Okay,
in fact
got it. Yeah.
apply some cryptography or some algorithm also you can apply and then get the key. So these options are available.
Here in this result, you have passed that cursor dot fetch all. So that is getting all the data. And
Yes.
so in the above, you have mentioned the SQL, right? That is taking the select star from books, and you are executing it at a cursor level. So result is storing the data of all the executed, which is there on the execute bracket SQL, right? Yeah. So I just
So
wanted to
after
know.
executing this,
Yeah. Yeah. Continue. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I was saying that whatever is the SQL statement in this variable, it gets executed. The result is stored in cursor, and from the cursor, we are fetching the rows in result variable.
Okay. Cursor is function here, right? That is getting from the import module, right?
Which one?
The cursor dot execute, the cursor dot fetch all these are all functions that are getting as a part of import module, right?
Yes, not import module, PyMySQL module.
PyMySQL module. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Correct.
got it. Yeah.
Correct. Which
Okay.
very important. So all these are belonging to that module. Now, if you are working on Oracle database or Postgre, whichever database you are working on, you can install that module on your Python environment and import it in your file. So there are a lot of databases, and for each database there is a different connector. So what happens is they are not inbuilt when you're installing Python. So whichever external modules you need, you can install them using some commands, and you can import it in your environment.
So the db.commit that you are mentioning is like we are just putting an enter button, and it is like just execute only, right?
Thanks for watching. To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Want to study further? Subscribe to our paid membership to get a deep dive into each and every topic. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our DevOps School channel and hit the bell icon to learn more. Keep learning.